Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to this video on constants in C programming. I'm Karan Tamang from first year BBA and today we'll explore one of the most important but often overlooked parts of C programming language, which is constants. So although constants may sound simple, yet they play a huge role in writing clear, efficient and safe code. So whether you are new to programming or brushing up on the basics, this presentation will help you understand why constants matter and how to use them effectively. So, what we are going to cover in this session, we'll break things down into easy to understand topics. We'll start with the what constants are and why we should use them. Next, we'll go over the different types of constants in C, like integers, floats, characters, strings, and even more advanced ones. After that, we'll learn how to declare them in two ways, which are first by using the const keyword and secondly using hash define. We'll also see a real example program and we'll talk about common mistakes that can lead to bugs. Finally, we'll discuss the overall advantages of using constants and wrap up with a quick summary. So, what is a constant? A constant is a value in your program that never changes once it has been set. Think about real life constants like the value of pi, which is always 3.14, or maybe the maximum number of students which are allowed in a classroom. These are values that stay the same, and in programming we often need to represent these fixed values. In technical terms, a constant is like a variable whose value is locked. Once it is assigned, it cannot be updated or modified during the program's execution. This helps to avoid make mistakes. For example, if you accidentally modify a constant like pi halfway your code, your calculations could be completely go wrong. By marking it as a constant, the compiler will catch that mistake and alert you. So why do we use constants? There are many practical reasons to use constants, which will be safety, and which is to avoid changing importance value accidentally, or to make code easier to understand, and to make changes easy, which can be done in one place only. We don't need to write in all over the program, just one place is enough. And next will be to write professionally and error-free code. Next up is types of constants. In C, we divide constants into two broad categories, which are primary and secondary. Primary constants are basic ones and are used very frequently. Integer constants are like 10 or minus 25. Floating point constants like 3.14 or negative 0.001, which is basically a decimal number. Next is character constants like a or 9. Next is string constants like hello world, hello or world. Next up is secondary constants. These are a bit more advanced and it includes array, which are constants in size or value, structures where fields are not allowed to change, pointers, which are that point to constant data or cannot be reassigned. While you all mostly use primary constants as a beginner, knowing that secondary constants exists help you plan more secure program in the future. Next up is integer and float constants explained. So let's look a little closer at integer and float constants. Integer constants are whole numbers. They do not have decimal points. You can write them as decimal, which is 10, octal, which is 0, 1, 2. Octal starts with a 0, hexadecimal like 0 multiplied by A3. Float constants. Float constants are number which includes decimal point. They can also be written as they can also written in scientific notation. For example, 3.14, negative 0.001, 5.0, 1.23 E3, which means 1230. Scientific notation is useful when dealing with very large or very small numbers. You'll see it often in scientific or financial calculations. Next up is Character and string constants. So a character constant is a single character enclosed within a single quote. For example, single quote A, single quote 9 or single quote $sign. Whereas a string constant is a sequence of characters enclosed in double quotations, which are double quotation hello, double quotation 1 2 3 4. And it is important to know the difference. For example, a single quotation A takes 1 byte, whereas a double quotation A takes 2 bytes, one for the character and one for the null terminator. Using the wrong type in your program can lead to bugs. And next is declaring constants in C. To create constants in C, we mainly use two approaches, which is first the const keyword. This is the part of language syntax and gives us type safety. And the second is the hash define directive. This is handled by the preprocessor before the compiler sees the code. Now we'll look at them in more details. Firstly is using const keyword. So when you use const, you must assign the value at the time of declaration. For example, let const float gravity is equals to 9.8. Once the value has been set, the gravity cannot be changed. If you try to do this, gravity is equals to 10.0, the compiler will simply show you an error. A const helps make sure these types of variable is respected, and it's great for value that belong to a specific data types like integer, float or character. Next up is using hash define directive. So hash define directives works a little differently. It's a macro, a global replacement tool that works before your code is compiled. For example, hash define max underscore size 100. This means anywhere you write max underscore size, the compiler replaces it with 100 before compiling. Unlike const, hash define doesn't have a data type and there is no equal sign. It's just a label for a value. So be careful though, since there's no type checking, mistakes can go unnoticed until later. So let's take a look at an example using const and hash define. Here the age is constant declared using const and pi is declared using hash define. If you try to change the age, the compiler simply gives you an error. This provides that both the declaration works, but they behave slightly differently. And here's the output of this program. As you can see, the constants being used just like normal variables, but with the safety that they cannot be changed. This is a practical demonstration of constants in real C code. Now let's look at another example of constants in C using a C compiler. So let's start with a quick question. What is the formula to calculate the area of a circle? It's pi multiplied by radius squared, or in coding it's pi multiplied by r multiplied by r. But instead of typing 3.1 for every time, we can just simply use constant. In C, we use the const keyword to declare constant value that cannot be changed while the program runs. Here is a simple program to show you how this works. The const pi float pi is equals to 3.4. This line sets a constant value for pi. Once it is defined, you can use pi anywhere in the program and the value 3.14 always stays fixed. Now the user is asked to enter the radius. We calculate the area using area is equals to pi multiplied by pi multiplied by radius multiplied by radius. Finally, we'll print the result. So this is a great example of using constant to make sure our code is easier to read and maintain. So remember, when you have a value that should not change like pi, use the const keyword. Okay, so next up is common mistakes which people make while using constants. So which will be first? Trying to modify a constant value. This will lead to a compiler error. Second is declaring a const without initializing it. You must give it a value when you declare it. Third will be using incorrect hash define syntax, like hash define pi is equals to 3.14, which is wrong. There should not be equal to sign. Next is using magic numbers in your coding. These are some random values used directly without explanations. Next up is advantages of constants. Let's highlight the main benefits again, which is first, it improves readability. Clear names like pi or max underscore users make the code itself explanatory. It avoids accidental changes. Once a value is set, it cannot be modified by mistakes. Next is easier to maintain. If you need to change a value, you can do it just in one place. Next is encourages good coding habit. Clean, organized code is easier to debug and share. Next is ideal for large programs. As your projects grow, managing values with constants saves time and reduces bugs. So moving up to summary. To summarize all we have learned up till now, a constant is a fixed value that doesn't change throughout the program. We can use const for type safe declaration and hash define for macro replacement. Using constants avoid common errors and makes our code more reliable. It's a simple habit, but it builds the foundation for professional coding practices. So always remember to define your constants clearly. Your future self and your teammates will thank you. So thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I hope you understand the importance of constants in C programming and how to use them in right way. If you have any doubts or want to go deeper into any topic, feel free to reach out. Until then, next time.